Action. Hey everybody, Thomas and Krista here with
Hi,
Throne
good
Builders.
people.
And it is our weekly prophetic word. They're going to start that all over again. Hey everybody, Thomas and Krista here with Throne Builders.
Hi, good people.
It's time for the weekly word for the week of April 22nd, 2018.
So this week I want to share with you something that's really been on my heart. And you know, it's something I've actually been meditating on whether or not I should share it, but the Father really came to me strongly, and I'm more like an empath type of person. I feel people's feelings, I feel their pain sometimes. It's not always fun. And you know, it's been difficult because I feel the Father's heart on this subject, and I want to share it with you because I want to clear up some misunderstandings first of all. So lately, I've been hearing a lot of comments, you know, on YouTube, Facebook, about people who are asking, you know, how do I hear God better? Or you might say, I wish I could hear God better. Or some of you might say, I don't really hear God and I want to hear Him. And it's a real struggle, and I get this. I used to be there. And before I go any further, I was just led to share a little secret with you that the Father spoke to me while we were in a wilderness time, some time back. He spoke to me one day, and He said something that really caught me off guard. And, you know, and it took me a while to understand it. But He said, Krista, He said, the people who really struggle with hearing God, the people that are tormented by that, they are the people that hear me the best. Whoa, that kind of was like, went right over my head, like, well, I didn't get it at first, you know? Excuse me. I think I'm inhaling Tom over here.
I try.
And what a lovely scent to inhale. So,
I don't even know if that should be
I didn't plan
video.
this, but I did choke. So anyways, hearing God. So it's an important...
And I didn't pass gas or anything, okay? So don't even go there.
Okay, come on. Let's get going. These people are watching this. This is live, man. Okay, so hearing God, that's an important subject, because if we can't hear God, then we can't really, you know, do what we need to do to have a successful life, to be happy, to know His heart, and to connect with Him on an intimate level, right? That is so important. So the main thing that He wants me to share with you on this subject is the fact that He speaks in multiple, diverse ways, okay? And Tom and I are going to be giving some examples of this, but let me just share with you a few things that I've been through, like personal experiences over the years. I have heard God through movies. He's come through the movie and spoken to me. Like maybe something was in the movie that was powerful, and so God spoke through that, and I heard it, and it quickened my spirit. And you know, how do you know when God's speaking? Well, your spirit will be quickened. You will get help from it. You'll be edified. You'll feel loved.
Sometimes you'll be challenged. Sometimes there will be some apprehension to what you're hearing.
That's so true.
Sometimes it will seem to take you in a direction you had not anticipated going.
So true. So He's spoken to me through animals. I love going out in nature and watching squirrels and birds and all kinds of things. Tom and I actually have an exciting thing we're going to get to share one of these days about our coyote story.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing how God spoke to us through coyotes one time. Actually, several times, wasn't it? Yep. Many times.
Over 2.5, over a 4-year period of time, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, when you hear the story, you're not even going to believe it because it's so awesome.
That is true.
So, you know, God has spoken to me through people. And one thing that was highlighted to me about this is actually He has spoken to me right through my enemies. And that one's sometimes hard to accept, you know, because these people have hurt you. But guess what? God can speak through anything.
That's right. That's an excellent point that you made, Krista, because one of the things that I share with people often is that you can hear God through these different modes, and I liken it to the fact that I can pretty much recognize my wife's voice regardless the medium that it comes to me in. In other words, if she's talking to me on the phone, or if we're talking face-to-face, if it's a text message I receive on my phone, if it's an email, a Facebook message, though I might not even necessarily see her name there, there's a way that she communicates that is familiar to me. It's common to me, and it makes sense to me.
Right.
And God's the same way. He is trying to speak through so many different avenues. And it's true, one of the primary ways that He speaks is through our enemies. That spirit of accusation that comes bursting out of people is often an opportunity for you to stop pull back for a minute and take stock of where you are to see if God's trying to speak even through that. Years ago, one of my favorite stories of how God speaks to me, God was leading me to resign a position at a church. And I was struggled for 2 nights. I stayed in prayer in my office, just agonizing over this because it didn't make sense the way I was being led.
That was hard.
And I finally wrote my letter of resignation, and I was getting ready to take it to the pastor's office and leave it on his desk. And I just kind of chickened out, and I went out for a ride out in the country, agonizing.
Yeah.
And I remember so clearly saying, God, I just need a sign. If this is really something you want me to do, then I just need a sign from you so that I know I'm going in the right direction.
Right.
And as I'm looking straight ahead, miles out in the distance, I saw thunder, a lightning come down out of the sky. But it wasn't, you know, lightning comes in kind of at a zag or kind of a choppy thing. This lightning came down as a perfect cylinder. I kid you not. Came down as a perfect cylinder miles ahead of me. And I just shook as I was driving because of the absolute reality of the confirmation that I had received.
Yeah, that reminds me of a way that God spoke to me one day. I was driving, and this was when we lived in Idaho, and I was really discouraged that day. And I was literally, you know, just what you do, you drive and you're kind of meditating, thinking, and I kind of asked God, in my own way, I said, God, would you show me in a special way today how much you love me so that I know that it's you speaking to me? And, you know, I couldn't even get those words out of my mouth, and I instantly kind of was drawn to the field that was over here to my right. And there was 2 horses out there grazing in the pasture, beautiful horses. But the odd thing was they both had a blanket on their back. They're called horse blankets if you've ever seen them. And one of the horses had a purple blanket on his back, and the other horse had a green blanket on his back. And
those are your favorite color combinations,
they are. How did you know?
Somebody told me.
So anyways, I instantly knew in my mind and heart, you do love me, God, and you showed me with those 2 colors over there, and they were my favorite mixtures of purple and green because there's different, you know, levels of purples and greens. So it was so exciting, and I just was flooded with joy knowing that the Father had heard my prayer.
That's right. So the main point that we're trying to make with you today is that you can hear God just fine, and God is speaking to you in many different ways.
Tom, we're on film, and that's probably distracting them.
Yeah. I'm very sorry about that. So there's really nothing that can possibly stand. Wow.
That's annoying.
Oh, wow. Bubble paper, right? Who can resist?
Wow. That's
so
really distracting.
Can somebody take this? Take that. Thank you. Okay. So what was I saying?
Distractions.
Distractions. The only thing that can actually keep you from hearing the voice of God is when you're preoccupied and distracted with something else, even if it's something so tempting and amazing as bubble paper. So if you're too old to enjoy bubble paper, I mean, you just might as well go ahead and get your gravestone and your gravesite picked out, you know? I mean, you're not living if you can't appreciate bubble paper.
Or we'll buy you some and send it to you.
If you only feel appreciated, otherwise I'll take it. So my point is that the distractions, the things that we turn our focus to, and we all do it, right? We get focused on money, we get focused on our situation, physical issues, relationship issues, world events. It's those distractions that make it so difficult for us to really hear what's being said.
Right.
And when we come into a position, for instance, early this morning I was up in prayer, and I have a place in our house I go pray where I don't disturb anyone else. And I kept telling God, I need to hear you, 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 I need to hear you. And I was like, I keep saying I need to hear you, but I can't shut up long enough to listen to what you're saying to me. And so I had to stop and make myself be quiet. And sure enough, I started hearing his voice again. You can become distracted by anything that you turn your focus on.
Right.
But when you simply come into that place and recognize, I can hear God, I can hear him anywhere, I can hear him anytime, I can hear him anyway.
True.
And I want to be available to hear what he has to say to me.
Right.
So that's what the Father's trying to tell you this week. You know, you hear him just fine.
Right.
You just may be trying to hear him because the way that somebody else said you're supposed to hear him instead of the way that you hear him, because you were wired uniquely to receive his voice in the way that only you can.
You know, this might sound a little odd, but sometimes the thing that distracts us the most from hearing God's voice is our own prayers.
Oh, boy.
Have you been there? I mean, I know I have. I don't know how many times I'll be praying, reading my Bible, whatever you want to put in that blank. And the Lord just kind of steps in and says, Krista,
Shut it.
Can you be quiet for a minute?
Let me do the voice. Krista, shut it.
Yeah, but Claude's a little nicer to me.
Please.
So anyways, we're crazy today. So anyways, you know, sometimes you just have to quiet yourself and know that he's there and know that he is talking to you and know that you can hear him. Because let me give you one more secret that I learned that just absolutely changed my life. You know, back in the day when Tom and I had our breakthrough in spiritual tongues, because that was a battle for us, because we were taught in religion that tongues is evil and it's not, you know, it's not for today. And God brought us out of all that mindset and freed us and gave us our spiritual language. But here's what we found out. It was always within us. And the reason why I'm using this illustration to tie in with this is because when I was going through that hard time with speaking in tongues and learning that new heavenly language to tap into the Holy Spirit, I felt like I had a block, okay? Now stay with me here. This is going to be powerful for some of you. Some of you are going to get a breakthrough right now in this, okay? I was saying the same line over and over, the same sentence. I said it for a whole month, the same thing. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Whew, it was so annoying. And I kept telling...
And it was either that line or, I have a block, I have a block.
It was so frustrating. And I wanted to get past this block. And I kept saying to Tom, I got a block, Tom. And finally,
and that's where I lost my hair. God, you don't have a block.
Wow. So anyways, that may or may not be true. But the point is, God came to me and he said, Krista, the only reason why you have a block is because you are saying that you have a block. And I had to repent that day, because repentance means to change our mind, to line up with the Father's way of thinking, okay? I had to change my mind and I had to start saying, I don't have a block. I could speak in spiritual language. And guess what happened?
Can you speak in spiritual languages freely now?
Shemota. See, there you go. It's flowing right now. So yes, I was able to break out of that hold. And it was so liberating. So it's the same way with hearing God.
Stop saying you can't hear him. And we're not fussing at you.
No.
We get emails every week. We get people reaching out to us on Facebook. And we get comments on our YouTube channel here. No. Every week saying, I'm having a hard time hearing God. And we get where you're coming from.
Yep.
And of course, we need other people to speak into our lives, because that's one of the best ways that he likes to speak, to be heard by us. But you hear him just fine. Stop trying to limit it to being just the way you think it's supposed to be. And be open, because he'll say all kinds of stuff at the most unusual times.
Yeah.
So this is the prophetic word, and we hope that you're blessed by it. My trip to Kenya is on May 30th. That's next Monday. I'll be jumping on a plane from Orlando, Florida, about 7:30 at night. And be about 24 hours later, I'll be landing in Nairobi, Kenya. I'll have 1 day rest and time to spend with my contact there. And then it's going to be 5 weeks of just go, go, go. If you'd like to have a part in supporting this trip and sow into it, we certainly welcome that.
And Tom, before they go, tell them about the leaders that you're going to get to influence. Because this is big. This is not just a normal trip.
I'm going to be in 10 different churches. 7 will be in Kenya. 3 will be in Uganda. And at I think at every single church, maybe one that this will not happen, there will be leaders from ministries that will be present. And as you probably figured out from what you've seen on our videos, and if you follow us on Facebook, Throne Builders has a very different approach to ministry, to the gifts of the Spirit. I hope you're watching the Office Gifts series. So if you recognize there's a difference here, and there's a strong kingdom mandate on us to be reformers in theology and in philosophy of the kingdom, then you want to sow into this, because I'm going to be speaking. In fact, at one ministry, I'll have upwards of 500 ministers that will be mine for 3 full days. I'm going to have all the meetings. It'll actually be 2 full days, and it'll be 2 nights, 2 full days, and a half a day.
Wow.
So it's going to have a lot of influence with them. So I'm going to be visiting orphanages and would love to be able to do more than just fund the trip. And if you'd like to help with that, some of you could easily support us in that. And we'd be so grateful for that. So we love you all so much. Thank you so much. Our channel keeps growing because of amazing people like you.
That's right.
And you have become such an important and wonderful part of our lives.
You have no idea how special you are.
7.5 months ago, we had no clue that YouTube would become such an integral part of our lives.
That's right.
And now it's something that we look at every day in admiration and respect for you and for God and for all that's happening. For our amazing filming crew, Twisty Seeds Productions, that helps us put everything together. It's just been really awesome. So we thank you. Thank you for being patient with this lengthy word today. Make sure that you like,
subscribe,
share the videos,
and leave your comments below and let us know how you Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Leave some nice comments, some of you. Come on. So anyways, have a great week. God bless.
Bye-bye.